Find all solutions to the equation e to the 6x minus e to the 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. As a reminder, the constant e is 2.71828, etc. It goes on and on the way pi does, so it is nothing more than a constant. One of the keys to solving this equation is to recognize that it's a quadratic equation, and one way of seeing that it's a quadratic equation is write this as e to the 3x squared minus e to the 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Now that may make it look a little more like a quadratic equation, but it is a quadratic equation in e to the 3x. You may find it easier to do a substitution, and I'll write that off to the side. If you think of e to the 3x as y, this would be the same as y squared minus y minus 2 is equal to 0. So now it really looks like a quadratic, but I'm going to continue to leave it in this form, and I'm going to try to factor that quadratic. So what we have when we try to factor this, we have an e to the 3x here and an e to the 3x here, and the reason we have that is e to the 3x times e to the 3x will give us e to the 3x squared. And now what we have to do is figure out what will happen in terms of the factors of 2, and we can put a 2 over here and a 1 here, and now we just have to figure out the sign pattern and we'll be done. Because we have a negative e to the 3x here, you can see we have a negative here and a positive here will give us that particular polynomial. Now, if you were to do this over on this side, what you would be doing is you would be writing it out in this fashion, and you would put a y here and a y here, and you would put a 2 and a 1. And to figure out whether it's minus plus or plus and minus, you would look at this negative up above here and you would say that's negative 2 and plus 1. So that's the analogy on this side of what we did here working with e to the 3x as a quadratic. So now we have this factor times this factor is equal to 0, and what that means is either this factor is equal to 0 or this factor. So let's start by solving the equation that's over here on the left. If you add 2 to both sides of that equation, you get e to the 3x is equal to 2. To solve that particular equation, you want to take the natural log of both sides. The natural log is abbreviated ln, and I'll do this with an extra step here. The natural log of e to the 3x is equal to the natural log of 2. And the natural log of e raised to any power is going to be that power, 3x, is equal to the natural log of 2. And the last step to solving that equation is to divide both sides of the equation by 3. When you divide the left-hand side of the equation by 3, you get x. When you divide the right-hand side of the equation by 3, you get the natural log of 2 divided by 3. And that right there is one solution. Now let's look at the other side. To solve this equation, we subtract 1 from both sides of the equation. When you subtract 1 from the left-hand side, you get e to the 3x. When you subtract a 1 from the right-hand side, you get a negative 1. And e to the 3x equals -1 has no solution, and the reason it doesn't is when you take a positive number and raise it to any power, you are always going to get a positive value. You will never get a negative value. So this side has no solution. Which means we only have this one solution here, which is the natural log of 2 divided by 3. If you wanted a numerical value for that, you could plug this into your calculator, and when you plug it into your calculator, at least to the first 3 digits, you get 0.231. So that right there is the solution to the original equation. The key to solving this problem is recognizing that that original equation has a quadratic equation lurking inside of it.